Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. As I earlier mentioned, today is the World Press Freedom Day, and we want to start this discussion with two gentlemen in studio. One is an AI expert, the other is a tech journalist. That is Nigel Jr., who's the founder and the chief editor of TechSpace Africa. Welcome to the studio. Thank you so much for finding time.
Thanks for having me.
And of course, I have with me Michael Michi, who's an AI expert and the founder, or rather co-founder of Evers Technologies. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'll start with you, Nigel. First of all, happy World Press Freedom Day.
Happy World Press Freedom Day to you.
So, let me get this. You're a tech journalist.
Journalist, yeah.
From where you sit, how do you think technologies like AI, artificial intelligence, are going to, impact the future of journalism? And when I talk about journalism, I want to talk about mostly about credibility and, ethical standards. How do you see it affecting it?
Well, AI is what everyone is talking about right now. So it's pretty heavy on the mainstream right now. And I think there's a lot of positives that are coming from AI right now. In terms of credibility, we can talk about fact-checking, all of that. And that is very easy right now coming from artificial intelligence. And I think it's a very good tool when used, because I think when people talk about the negatives of AI, I think the problem comes from the people who are using it. But if journalism integrates artificial intelligence positively, that is using the tool for fact-checking, things like fact-checking, I think it will be a very useful tool. Yeah.
So do you think you can share some examples of innovative use of technology that has been used by investigative journalists, probably people trying to find information where it is hard to come out of?
Hard to come out of in what
yes,
sense?
Information that probably that puts or rather paints some people in bad light, and so they wouldn't want to share such information. And this is the case that investigative journalists have to deal with every other single day. Do you think there are innovative ways that journalists can use technology to get such information?
Well, when it comes to investigative journalism, I'm not very versed with investigative journalism per se, but I would like to assume that it helps with time saving when you use these tools which can compile a lot of data in like a very small time and come up with useful information that will actually help save time when it's actual stuff that are impacting a lot of people. Yeah.
Well, Michi, over to you. Talk about, or rather a bit about emerging technologies like blockchain and how they can be used to decentralize news distribution and even collection.
Well, I guess blockchain is probably one of those technologies obviously has had its bad rep, having been mostly focused on the crypto side of it. But I think when you look at blockchain and other distributed ledger technologies, you have this opportunity where it's decentralized and democratized. So you can even use blockchain for verification of news. You can use blockchain technologies. Some are pseudonymous, meaning they have some part of anonymity. Others are fully anonymous, meaning then in the case where someone could be a witness and they could put this information on a blockchain built for journalists, and it will be verified by all the parties within the blockchain, and it's not something that's going to disappear. I think in the past we've seen where information is lost through time, just as buildings disappear over time as nature takes its course.
Okay. Yeah. And this protects the safety, or rather keeps the journalists safe, especially when they have to deal with dangerous work, investigative journalism touching on big personalities in the society.
Yeah, but not just that technology. I think a lot of technologies right now have aided journalists to be more aggressive with investigative journalists, made them more freer and safer. Technologies that allow you to protect your witness. If you look at in the past, you would blur witnesses' faces, you'd distort their voices. Now you have certain emails that cannot be traced. So there's a lot of value that can be given to the journalists. If there was such a blockchain for journalists, then it would also go further. Whenever a story is published and the blockchain accepts it, then you forever know that this story was factual. So it could also maybe even in the future help with fighting challenges of propaganda. Yeah.
Well, Nigel, we've moved from Photoshop. Technology is evolving fast. We've moved from Photoshop. We're now into deepfakes, where people alter videos and create videos that are not true. They could use the same videos for disinformation or misinformation. What role do you think tech journalists like you can play to ensure that the journalist is fed, the public rather, is given the true picture of whatever that is happening?
What is happening is actually something we cannot control, and it's happening, and it's been happening way before AI was in the mainstream. Deepfakes and Photoshop, like you said, have been in the mainstream for a long while. Now, what has happened right now is people are now starting to know about it, and that is just because journalists like myself are reporting on it. And now is when people are getting to know about AI, because AI is not actually new. AI has been here for years and years on, many years, even before I started journalism.
Okay.
So it's been here. What we can do is tell people about it. Tell them there is something called deepfakes, and they create faces, and they create these videos that you're seeing, and they may not be true. Like you're seeing Ruto dancing somewhere, and it's actually not true. So what we can do is just what we've trained to do is just report on it, and people. That is all we can do. And people will know it's happening. Yeah.
And fact-checking, you're talking about fact-checking.
Yeah.
Michi, do you think we can get technology that can counter that, to easily point out? Just the other day, I saw technology that is used to, pick stuff that has been created by generative artificial intelligence. Do you think we'll get to a point where now journalists will have tools to counteract misinformation and disinformation with a click of a button?
Yeah, there are some tools already which, when it comes to large language models, such as ChatGPT, where people are able to take content from it and then paste it on these sites and then see was the content generated by AI. There are tools that do this for video and images. The challenge with these tools is you probably have 70 tools today. Next week you'll have 90. Of the 90, each of those tools will give you a different score in terms of how much of the content could be AI generated, and it usually could be, because as the AI models improve, when you move from ChatGPT 3.5 to ChatGPT 4, it gets better at writing like a human. So it's sort of a race. Eventually it will be the goal for that artificial intelligence, which is to simulate human intelligence. It will be very difficult unless the AI tools themselves label the data in terms of showing that this is AI-generated content. So if they have that transparency, then when you get to the stage where we can't tell what this data is, whether it's AI-generated or human-generated, because for now we run in circles. If you look at what ChatGPT, OpenAI released, they haven't released it yet, but the Sora.
Video generated.
Yes, that thing is powerful. You could believe that's a true thing. And they've gone as far as delaying it because of the fears that it could be used to spread misinformation and disinformation, especially during elections within the US. So you can already see they are already aware this thing is going to make very high quality and that's going to fool people. And probably the tools out there to detect if it's AI generated, some will fail.
Okay.
And then that creates that issue where it's a race. We want AI to be as smart as we are, or to simulate as much of our work as possible, our output. But as we do that, all these tools that determine if is this content AI generated, those tools eventually will fall off. Yeah.
Wow. Let's come back to Africa. Nigel, what role do you think technology plays, especially in citizen journalism and for grassroots journalists who sometimes have very limited freedom of expression?
I think in 2024 is a very interesting year, and this is coming from a lot of ways in which journalism is being portrayed, starting from simple apps just like TikTok and other apps where people are practicing a lot of spreading news down in the Ushago and
the grassroots.
Yeah, in the grassroots, like you said. And there are a lot of technology that is being used, by even the lowest of the lowest, and news is spreading like we've never seen before. And I think it's a positive as well as a negative in the because of course everything is positive, negative, and But I think it's a very nice thing that is happening, seeing as how anyone can get access to news, access to what is happening without relying on waiting for the 9 p.m. news, waiting for the 11 p.m. news. There are a lot of means to get these news, and I think it's a very positive thing that is happening right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And what do you think journalists can do to leverage on technology like, artificial intelligence and using data analytics to present news? And I'll go back to that topic of investigative journalism, presenting news that seems to be hidden.
So I think with short form news, let me go back to that because I'm very interested in this. I think with short form news and using AI to create these short videos like I've seen some journalists do, and I think how they are integrating this new technology. They are using these apps that people are creating, and they are creating short form videos that they can then post on these social media sites. I think that is a very good thing that is happening right now because people don't have the attention span that we used to have back in the day, and this is very helpful in 2024, if I was to say.
Well, Michael, what do you think will be the impact now of artificial intelligence? This is a new, rather emerging technology. What do you think will be the impact of it on journalists and their audiences, and especially on personalization and the engagement between the journalists and their audiences?
Well, look at it that it's going to have a very positive impact. Yes, there are going to be negatives, but nothing is 100%, so you don't get one thing that is all good. So I believe that overall it will have a good impact. For example, we've seen recommendation engines, whether that's on Google or on TikTok, as Nigel mentioned. So those recommendation engines will point consumers to the right type of content. In this case, the right kind of journalistic content that they prefer. You can also see the tool that's, I think there's a AI company called Channel One that is actually building AI anchors. So an AI anchor with AI agents that goes across the internet to look for news, and it reports on the news as if you're watching real live news. So there could be value in that where you don't need to take you can take your sick off and you can go and live and you can remain on air. Especially for radio, I see it having a very big impact on radio because now radio personalities could find a way to have their voices used by AI in their absence, and they can get some royalties for that because obviously they don't want to infringe on anyone's copyright. So there's quite a lot, and then this allows for you to run a news channel 24/7. You could imagine you've been talking for 24 hours, but it's just an AI. So there's a lot of potential in terms of the production, the collection, even just ensuring that the right kind of news reaches the right people.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot goes on behind news making, from the collection part. And this is data that we were handling from the point where journalists collect news, where they're processing it and distribution of it. Don't you think it's going to be dangerous if we just let now, like you're talking about Channel One, we just let AI generated news to be blasting through our airwaves for 24 hours without, you call it human in the loop?
Yeah, human in the loop.
Well, do you think it's dangerous?
You could have human in the loop, or you could have in jurisdictions and territories where journalism has some form of regulation or some entity that oversees all journalistic media, where they could obviously try and put this in a sandbox and see, does it work for us? How much human in the loop do we need? Well, if you have too much human in the loop, then you probably see you won't get the return you want with the AI technology. But I think it's something which can be controlled from a point of best practice by the channel that decides to use AI, or it could be something that could be governed from higher up within the industry as a collective, where they say, as an industry, we choose to go in this direction. And we shall declare that everything, whenever there's AI content, we will fully display that this content is AI generated, and that creates transparency. And now people have the choice. Do I watch the news channel that never switches off, that's AI generated, or do I watch the one which has an anchor like yourself, which feels a bit more personalized? Yeah.
All right. Nigel, from where you sit as a tech journalist, what are the latest trends? Are there tools? Because tools like artificial intelligence, and I like to call it tool, they help journalists from generative AI, etc. They help journalists, be more efficient in their work. From where you sit, what are the latest trends that are going to help journalists remain credible and truthful and still maintain the trust that they've been given by the public?
So I've just heard you guys talk about, TikTok and how it can generate content. And I think you may, think of TikTok as just a social media, but it is one of the most highly, used social media channels in Kenya. And it also uses a lot of AI in it. And when you look at the people that are using TikTok, there are so many, and you can get a lot of news from TikTok just as a source. That is just one way you can use technology. From, everyone is reporting, let's talk about the floods that are happening right now in the country. And everyone is just talking about, oh, there's flooding here, there's flooding here. And this is a way journalists can, figure out what is happening here and there without actually being there. And without even automation. Like, if we are talking about automation, they can then consult all of this information and talk about and use AI tools. There are a lot of tools on the internet right now that I cannot go in detail into.
Okay.
Yeah, that they can take all this information and feed it, and it will generate this content for them, like in either video form, audio form, all those short content. They are paid. They are free versions of all these apps, and journalists can, use these apps to come up with news on the go very fast. Something that as humans we cannot, thinking about going from here to, Ruai, from here to all these places. And they can do this very fast using all of this technology that is available.
Okay, Michael, in 30 seconds or less, what are some of the ethical considerations that we should look into as journalists using tools like AI to, fact check or any other newsroom duties that we want to engage in?
I think the first one is trustworthiness. So this is, do you trust the content by these generative AI tools, whether it's image, video, or text? Is it something that the output is something you can verify to be factual? So, and then next is the transparency. I think it's within best ethical practices to tell people who are consuming your content as a journalist, this is AI generated. I don't think you should misinform them, because then now that leads to misinformation where you're saying, oh, this is happening. I remember, I think that was early this year or late last year, there was content that was trending on, I saw it first on TikTok and then later on some websites, that the Eiffel Tower in Paris was on fire. And it was quickly debunked as AI generated. But the culprits responsible made better images, even with fast responders. And now everybody was like, wait, we think we are wrong. This is not AI generated. So you could see that could have a very significant impact. You're forcing fast responders to act, taking them away from possible real incidences to a hoax. I think journalists should be responsible enough to say, to show transparency and say, this content is AI generated, so consume at your own discretion. With the trustworthiness, find the tools that meet your standards.
Okay.
As a journalist, what are your standards? Then find the tool that meets your. If it doesn't meet your standards, then don't do away with it, because then you also don't want to compromise your own integrity. So I think those two in particular are the key things journalists should look at from an ethical perspective.
Oh, thank you. Nigel, your final remarks in 30 seconds or less. You sit in a very interesting place at the intersection of journalism and tech.
I think tech is very useful, and we cannot just do away with AI, because it is here and it's here to stay, and all you can do is adopt it. Now, when I was saying we need to integrate what is happening like on TikTok, and we can use this AI to still verify this information. Like we can, fact check. Like I was coming from Naivasha the other day, and there was this banner on my Google Maps that there's floods in this area. And if people are saying there are no floods, even on TikTok, and you have this other AI telling you there's this, as a journalist, it's your right, and it's what you're trying to do, to actually fact check before you report on anything. So you can use AI to get this information. You can use AI to fact check this information. And I think that is the only way we can go, because you cannot say don't use AI at all. Okay. You have to use AI, but use AI, like you said, very ethically. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for coming, gentlemen. Michael Mechi, co-founder of EVAS Technologies, and of course an AI expert, and Nigel Jr., the founder of TechSpace Africa, yes, and the chief editor. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you to viewer for watching. This has been Disruptive Friday. My name is Eric Munene. Our sign language interpreter has been Catherine Simaloi. Good night.